Welcome to the Christ in Private Practice podcast, where we empower Christian counselors and share stories of God's work in mental health. I'm your host, Camille McDaniel, licensed professional counselor. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for joining us. For everybody who has been consistent and for everyone who is new, welcome, welcome. Today, we are going to be talking to a therapist who is really wonderful. I I have not always had an opportunity to talk to her regularly, but whenever throughout the years I do talk to her, it's always a pleasant experience. We're going to be talking to Jessica Harris, who is licensed professional counselor here in Georgia today. So I'm going to just start off. Let me tell you about Jessica, and then we will get right into our episode. So Jessica Harris, she is, as I said, a licensed professional counselor. She's here in Georgia and has over 7 years of experience working with clients who struggle with eating disorders and negative body image issues. She earned her bachelor's degree in sociology from North Carolina A&T State University and her master's in clinical mental health counseling from Liberty University. She's passionate about guiding individuals through life transitions and trauma and unhealthy relationship patterns and helping them to build self-awareness, heal their relationships with themselves, and navigate challenges related to body, food, and faith. Jessica is also one thing that we want to just note that she's originally from North Carolina. She now lives here in Georgia with us, whoop whoop, as I said earlier. And she enjoys just the fun stuff. She enjoys brunch and traveling and trying new foods. And she is deeply motivated by helping others heal with resilience and compassion. So thank you so much, Jessica, for taking the time to talk with me today.
Yeah, actually, I'm really excited to be here. The thing I want to it's kind of crazy full circle because do you know when we first met?
Do you know I was going to ask you that?
So the thing is for you all, it's crazy. So I used to follow, or I follow you on YouTube. That's how I knew who you were. And I was working at Sephora at the time, still working on my
It was
license.
Perimeter Mall, wasn't it?
No, it was actually, I would never forget it. It was Sephora and JCPenney's in Alpharetta.
Okay. Yes, North Point probably area. Okay.
I literally yelled out your name, and I was like, Camilla, like, I was like, she's gonna think I'm crazy and I'm a stalker. But I was like, I know that face. I was like, just soaking up everything that you were sharing on YouTube about private practice and being a therapist, and I was just like, this is so awesome. I get some information. So to see you, and that was like our first like actual interaction.
Oh my gosh, that we're on the same page today. We did not plan that, you all, because I was gonna say, do you remember when
Yeah.
we first met? And so the cool part that I remember about that interaction was that, first of all, you were like the same kind person you were just very kind and super helpful to me because anyone who knows me knows that, like, I love interacting and talking. I love my clients, I love people, but I'm talking all the time and listening all the time. When I go out, I sometimes am just real quiet and want to just stay to myself, but you were so positive. Like, you could feel all the warmth coming straight from you. I felt so relaxed, and so interesting that when we were sitting and having a conversation, you were talking about wanting to, get more in the mental health field and the goals that you had for yourself as you are literally helping me do my makeup. So the fact that you now today, and this had to be, I mean, this had to have been like 10 years ago or something like that. This has been a while ago. And
Yeah.
so the fact that now today, yes, you are that licensed professional counselor that you set out to be. You did bring all of your skills with regards to wanting to help people feel better about themselves with the beauty industry, and you're blending the two. Now that's wild. So that is full circle moment. It really is. So then I guess this let's just start there. Let's jump right in. That leads to the first thing that I was going to ask you. Like blending beauty and then mental health. I mean, that's super creative from my standpoint. So, how'd you come up with that? I guess what made you just confident to blend those two and just move forward and make it
Yeah.
meaningful?
So I wasn't confident in it at all. I
Okay.
played around in makeup when I was in grad school, and it was like a self-soothing something I could do because grad school was crazy for me.
Okay.
And coming to Georgia where the the way you get licensed is completely different. So I didn't know I had to take the exam before you actually get LAPC and everything. So anyway, it was crazy. So that's how I ended up at Sephora. But my first position in Georgia was at an eating disorder facility. And they were so gracious that they allowed me to do my beauty therapy group there and just be creative. And I was just soaking up anything I could. And part of that was actually reading a book called Call to Create by Jordan
Mm,
Trainer.
okay.
And I was like, this is so good. So why don't I create it? And I had other supports that was just like, just go for it and just try it out and see what happens. So I was just being open and embracing my creativity. And I
Nice.
did not think I was a creative person whatsoever.
Oh, wow. That's funny how like the difference between what everyone sees on the outside compared to how we're feeling really about our journey on the inside. Cause I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's really bold. And you're like, yeah, it's bold. I don't know how this is gonna work out, but it's actually working out quite well for you actually.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along. And so then like in all of this, where does your faith come in? You know, how did that even help you as you're moving forward and like what I thought was bold, but like you're saying, you know, I was not sure at all how this was going to play out. So, you know, tell us more about all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't when I didn't know how it was gonna play out and what it would look like, and that was really my biggest wrestle of like, how do I have the balance? And there was just so many different things, but my biggest thing was how do I connect with people of color, people that look like me, because it was still so much stigma and just no, we just pray it away.
Yeah.
And prayer is powerful, and also we need both. Like I said, I'm from a small town in North Carolina where I don't even think there's a Waffle House there. I haven't been there forever, but
Okay.
it's
Okay.
small. And then when you're in those small spaces, there's not a lot of knowledge there.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
I really was in prayer of God guide me in this, and how do I reach more people with this message? And of course, as women, as people, we love beauty. So
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
like, if this is my way in,
Hmm. Hmm.
I can share a few things or a few nuggets and words and gems that will say, oh, that's what a therapist is, or this is what she
Yes.
actually does. It will open them up to more and being able to heal in the variety of ways that God desires for us to heal.
Nice. Because there are a lot of things that are tied to beauty and community and, you know, talking and being able to share. Because oftentimes, well, when you think about it, the services aren't quick. So, whatever service you're getting, you know, right? You know, you're going to be there for a little while, whether it's makeup, whether it's nails, whether it's hair, whatever, you know, whatever the service may be. So, you do find yourself talking, and then, you know, that allows you to have that space. So, that I could see how that could be a end, like a way into kind of helping people to have a different way of looking at just overall health, wellness, mental health. And then the other thing that you were saying, you know, just a desire to try to reach out to women who look like you, women of color. You started off in an eating disorder clinic, and by and large, that community doesn't have a whole lot of diversity, even sometimes with the patients. So
Yes.
the clients, even though it may be affecting large groups of people, I noticed that different cultures, different races view that differently. So you may have also found yourself kind of wanting to be able to maybe share more of that message across the board.
Yeah, and even and it's been such a blessing because when it comes to talking to people, churches or other ministers, and being able to educate them on how this affects us in
Mhm.
various ways, they're like, "Oh, I would never thought about this." Like I've actually, and I've had, oh my goodness, the privilege to work with some amazing clients that were Christian, and they were actually, instead of allowing the word and scriptures to help them to be free, they were actually bound in the
Ah,
sense of the way they saw the word, and being able to explore that with them in a gentle way. And it just help them see God in a different space. So if we're critical of ourselves, we can think God is being critical of us. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
where does God's softness come in with this?
Right.
And how, does He want you to nourish your body, and what does that look like? And being able to explore those things, and that's been a game changer for a lot of my clients.
That's awesome. I can only imagine. Yeah. So then now as you have tried to blend these concepts to help people heal and move forward of like beauty and also mental health, have there been any challenges along the way?
Girl.
Okay. Where do I begin? Right?
So it's really how I begin. And again, I'm like, okay, God, you want me to do this? Like, how do we do this? So a
Okay.
lot was balanced. So not only with my business of do I do both things like beauty and mental health, because they're both expensive professions. Like being a makeup
Uh-huh.
artist is not cheap.
Yes. Yes.
Therapist is not cheap, but um also I think about when I was first starting out, do I do therapy in the chair, and what's
Oh,
ethical and all these other things. I'm thinking about all these things, but then also I'm like, okay, but if I'm talking to them about different things that's sensitive and they start crying and crying off the makeup, that
yes.
doesn't work.
Oh, that's a good.
So
That's
all
a
I'm
good.
thinking about all these things, but what I come to learn is let me do some of the work and healing before I even apply makeup, and that's really my heart. Is
Ah,
let's have sessions before. Let's deal with
yes.
your self image. Let's deal with your mindset, your self perception. Let's talk about those things, and then when you feel transformed, when you feel that peace, when you're connecting with yourself and your body in healthy, positive ways, then let's put on some different things that enhance the beauty that you already have. And that has been the most challenging thing, and I feel like I got a good handle on it, and I have some good things or exciting things coming up
Okay.
soon to promote. But my other thing that I found that was challenging was people being confused in the church
Oh.
about what I do. So misunderstanding
Mm.
and some judgment when it comes to
Okay.
makeup, because we know in certain denominations they're like, oh, not
Yes.
makeup, or even,
Right.
and a lot of people I haven't promoted as much, but henna. I used to do
Okay.
henna, but I actually learned about henna in at Liberty. And the small story behind that is actually I learned about it from a missionary girl. She was in my grad program, and she would go out and do mission trips with her dad in the Middle East and different things, and they would put henna on the hands as a message or story of Jesus on their hands.
Oh.
Henna is all natural. It doesn't, and I
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
particular on what symbols or what
Mhm.
signs I do. But henna is an all natural plant. It's literally for them. It's like putting on fingernail polish.
Okay.
Different cultures actually embrace that, but it's something that I learned in grad school,
Yes.
Liberty University, as a
And then yes,
way to minister to people, not in a way of I'm embracing another religion or spirituality.
that's a good one because one of the things that popped up for me when you shared that was other other cultures who may have had a belief in Christ and had to find ways to maybe hide it so that they weren't persecuted may
Mm,
have used what was around them in order to send a message. So
yeah.
when you're saying that, some people, yes, it may have another use, but in that culture, if this is what we have,
Yeah.
and we can then let other people know through the message that we follow Christ without being detected by other individuals who might do us harm, then this is what we use now. Oh, but you
Absolutely.
know what? That's why it's kind of important to know history about other people and what they're doing and how they're doing it before we have a kind of a shut mind all the way. Because I do
Absolutely.
know we have to be very protective, and I do know the Bible says you have to test every spirit, and I know that you definitely have to make sure it aligns. But then as we allow ourselves to find out, hey, okay, is this truth or is this not the right way? We find out these stories. And I wouldn't have thought about that, but that makes me think of some other things that I've read along the way about other cultures and
Yeah,
what they did in order to go undetected because there was high persecution of Christians in that country, in that region. And so they did certain things in order to let others know, I'm a believer. Are you a believer?
mm-hmm.
But then those who might do them harm would not know what they were talking about.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
And my
Interesting.
thing is that's a way and place where a lot of the kids that I work with are teens. They
Hmm.
they were able to embrace that and really enjoy henna in that way. But I done a lot of research on what I'm doing, what symbols I use and do not use.
Ah, that's
So
important. Yes.
that's very important to me and makes me feel connected to how what I believe in and my faith because there's certain things that I don't connect with and I'm not using those symbols. And
Yeah.
I know the meaning of them. So
So
yeah.
you're educated on that. Yeah. Okay. So then okay. So clients, how are they responding to this? Because, I kind of see it's a progression. Like you were saying earlier, you're like, well, if I start doing the makeup and trying to do the mental health and then they crying off the makeup or not. So it's like, so that is a part of, it sounds like your therapeutic approach, allowing them to see the beauty in themselves, maybe enhanced by different things that you use that might be, in the makeup, the field of makeup. But initially, you're helping them heal, really truly heal
Yeah,
emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and then you move on to the next part of kind of celebration of that healing. So, how are they taking it? Like, what are your clients saying?
they are receptive. They're all for it. There's of course some clients that are like, no, no makeup. I don't push anything on anyone,
Right.
but when they're coming to me, they're like, you're it. Like God, like some like are like God brought me to you. And
Yes.
get to educate them on it and explore where did their ideas about themselves and beauty come from. And that has been a game changer. And then I get to bring in, well, how does God fit into this in your beauty and all these,
Mm,
because a lot of times it's hard. I find clients it's hard to take in compliments, and then
yeah.
but then they're wanting that affirmation.
Yeah.
So really exploring those things, but they have been so receptive. They're like, this is cool. I've never seen this, and
Right.
said, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So then ultimately, what does that balance look like for you? Because that's a lot of moving parts. And I didn't even get to the next question I'm gonna ask you. I want to know what does the marketing of a business like that look like? But first, what does that balance look like?
Oh, that looks like really aligning. So part of my business and just for clarity, aligning, yes, as far as my business and making sure those different parts are taken care of and I'm giving quality care. I'm very passionate about that because I believe one of my strong values is integrity
Yeah.
and giving quality. So being on time and all those things. But I only do beauty sessions on the
Mhm.
weekends, so I'm very clear on that. And then, of course, I have weekends for my own care, all
Okay.
those things. But that's more so what the balance looks like. So the beauty sessions are completely separate than mental health sessions.
Okay. Okay. And then how do you market a business like this?
Honestly, it's fun, and you might have seen some of my stuff.
Okay.
Show makeup. I'm starting to do that a little bit more, and I get to be creative. So I get to talk about beauty. I get to talk about body. I get to talk about mental health and all those things. But it's a lot of social media, and honestly, it ebbs and flows with when I get to post up, and
Yeah.
because that's a lot of work in
It
itself.
is.
But
Yeah.
it's doing podcasts. I've really been enjoying this, so I'm so great. That's why one of the reasons I'm
Okay.
grateful to be up here. But that's where or how people get to experience me, and whether that's with churches or with organizations
Mhm.
or clients, and they get to really know me from what I'm sharing, or even just sharing about beauty in general.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that sounds okay. So it's a little bit of everything. And I have seen, yeah, You have a pretty cool, social media presence. Matter of fact, I remember even years ago, before I really noticed it with other social media platforms and everything, that you would do these clips, and you know how you have the voices playing in the background, whether it's a song or whether it's a clip
Mhm.
from a movie or something, anyway, and you're mouthing it as though it's you, and I'm like, she does that perfectly. Like, she, how is she doing? Look, that's another level. I'm not there yet, but I was definitely like, that's on point because you would be picking clips that would say certain things. It's like, as if you were the therapist talking to a client, but it was coming from maybe like a movie or a song or whatever. Anyway, I'm like, she is mouthing that. Like, I almost would believe that was her. So your like creativity, though, it sounds like just goes in many different directions that then attracts people to what you're doing, how you're doing it, and then where they can find you. And so I guess for all the Christian counselors out there, or anyone for that matter, whether Christian or not, and they're just thinking like, okay, I think I have these ideas. I'm not sure how to blend them. They might be unrelated, but can you give some advice on just what they should do if they have some what seems like maybe unrelated passions, and how they might be able to like integrate them?
Honestly, the first step is looking at ethics. I'll always go back to that
Yeah.
because I'm very,
Yes.
I'm a stickler for it because
Yes.
we don't want to do any harm, don't want to cross any boundaries, and then
Right.
you in a sticky situation. And I'm very clear with someone that sits in my chair, like, look, I'm not your therapist, but we can chat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want something separate, then we need to schedule that. So
Okay.
I'm very clear on those boundaries. So being clear with your boundaries, being know your ethics. But just to give you a little bit of a example, I talked to a therapist that was a massage therapist, and she's like, "How do I do this?" And we can't touch clients, and that can be very
Right.
touchy. So I was like, "Well, why don't you teach like couples how to?" Do massages or, that could be incorporated. And I think she actually went to the route of actually teaching mothers how to soothe their babies
Oh,
and
wow.
mhm. So you can, and I mean, and y'all, you can hit me up, like email me,
Right.
we can have a chat. But my thing is, there's things that one of the parts that I think you didn't mention was along with eating disorders and negative body image is decolonizing beauty standards. And
No, I didn't mention that. Tell us about that.
yeah, so when it comes to decolonizing beauty standards, if we're in a white America and
Mhm.
we've been told that our hips and the way we look and our skin color is something that's a bad thing, I really have to break down like this is what you've been seeing all these years, and but
Mm.
this is how God created us, and He created a variety of beauty.
Yeah.
And a sunflower and a rose are two different things, but they're both beautiful. So when I talk about decolonizing, I really educate my clients a lot on what beauty is and really deconstructing what that is,
Okay.
giving them more insight. So with that, with saying that, I do believe a lot of us, especially people of color, are embracing our creativity in the clinical space and giving ourselves room for that. And again, that goes back to, okay, you have a talent, you have, if it's
Yeah.
art, if it's other things, how can I incorporate it? And making sure it's not crossing any boundaries and being clear on, okay, these are coaching clients in this way or artist
Mhm.
clients or whatever the case may be on creating a space for that. So
Yes, because we work too hard to get here to be losing it because we are not ethical when we are doing
right,
okay.
right.
Okay. That is the honest truth. So that's okay. So yeah, that's actually a whole nother side to it because there's a cultural competency that goes along with doing this as well. Because definitely I've seen a lot of different patterns over the many years that I've been doing this as it relates to culture, the United States, how people have framed it. So that's also something that it sounds like then that you are helping as people are working through self-esteem and trauma and all of that. Cultural competency is really important. So
So
yeah, okay, that's awesome.
yeah.
Tell us how, because um, you have social media, you have your website, you have different things that you're offering, people can sign up for. You have a business partner, you have all the things. So tell us, tell us where can we find you? How can people, follow you and find out more about what you're doing?
Absolutely. So the best place where you'll mainly see me is Instagram, and
Okay.
that's at the beauty therapist. Of course, at and the Beauti instead of a Y therapist. Shoot me a DM. I'm open. Don't be afraid to reach out. And then of course my email, info at the beauty therapist, spelled the same way. And if you want to just check me out in general, the beauty clinic is where you need to be to get all the info about me and how I support the community and my clients.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this, for sharing your ideas, for sharing how all that innovation started from concept all the way to fruition and everything else that you're doing. I appreciate talking to you. It's always nice and a pleasure.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.